Friday edition of Orange and Blue today. It's Cecil, Lammey, Andrew Mason, and it's Front-7 for the Denver Broncos. The conversation I want to start with Zach Allen, Mace. And did Zach Allen play up to his contract? We saw some flashes. I think he got better as the season went on.
Yeah, I think so. And I think actually it had a turning point 3 or 4 weeks into the season when he started to look like the player that Vance Joseph admired so much in terms of the progress they'd made in Arizona and led the Broncos to be willing to move on from Draymond Jones and turn the page and bring in Zach Allen. He got his first sack there, or a half sack in week 4 against Chicago, add another couple of sacks. We saw the QB hits go up. We saw the pressures go up steadily from there. One thing I can say about Zach Allen, he got to the quarterback. He knocked down the quarterback at least once in each of the Broncos' final 14 games of the season. He actually didn't get to the quarterback at all against Miami, that debacle down there in South Florida. But you brought Zach Allen in to be consistently disruptive in the pass rush. I'm not talking about sacks. We're talking about hits and pressures. And we did see Zach Allen over the course of the year generating more consistent pressure from game to game. So by and large, I think you were pretty happy with that, especially because he didn't have J.J. Watt taking the pressure off of him. A lot of blocking schemes were shaded more towards containing Zach Allen.
Yes.
We saw as the season went on.
And he was still capable of making plays. That's why I'm happy with the production of Zach Allen as the season went on. And one of those things you look to, that confidence building, and look at our roster breakdowns. They're going through our series at denversports.com. And we won't get to cornerbacks today, but it's rush and cover. We're going to talk about the OLBs. We're going to talk about the ILBs. But when you can get that pressure from 4 from your front, like, that's really exceptional, and it's the way to win in this pass-happy league.
It is, and what you want to see is a little bit more from the edge. Unfortunately, the Broncos' win rate on the edge, not what you want. There were flashes from Jonathan Cooper, flashes from Nick Bonitto, flashes from Baron Browning, and, of course, Cooper ends up with a very solid sack total when all is said and done. But you look at the overall win rate in pass rush, not what you want. That's something the Broncos are going to want to improve. And frankly, this is why you're seeing some mock drafts right now that have the Broncos going edge, even though I'd say looking at the overall roster, it may not be the primary need, but it's a good edge class that we're going to get into more and more over the next few weeks.
Yeah, over the next few weeks and before the draft, we'll be breaking it all down. And what's unfortunate for the Broncos, Mace, everything leads back to quarterback. But it's a fine quarterback class. It's a fine offensive tackle class. It's a fine edge class. You kind of need all of that, and you don't have the picks to do that, and you have that great need at quarterback. But I could see that, and I could see the experience that a Nick Bonitto got. He's just got to stay healthy. That jump that he took, and I was not expecting that. You and I talked during mini camp, so I think this was a May conversation. We talked on the sidelines. We talked on the airwaves on this show about, like, Bonitto playing like his hair was on fire, and just practice, granted, no tackling to the ground, but he was overrunning plays. And I looked to you, I was like, oh, there's Bonitto overrun. You just run right at him. He's going to overrun the play. Then the regular season got here, and Bonitto flipped the switch. I mean, I was very happy. And again, growth and development. It's draft and develop. Bonitto took that step, even though in May it was a little rough. By the time August, September got around, like, it was better with Bonitto. He needs to take another step, though, for what this team needs.
Yeah, if he's going to be a starter, he's got to take the other step of being better at setting the edge. He did improve, but not to the point to where the Broncos were going to move off the Ohio State complemented edge in terms of Baron Browning, Jonathan Cooper. But when all was said and done, Nick Bonitto, quarterback hits on the Broncos, second with 20, behind only Zach Allen with 24. And given the specialist nature of his work and the relative lack of snaps he had, especially after Baron Browning came back, that is a huge positive, a huge attribute for Nick Bonitto. If you can, even as a specialist, if he can settle as being a guy who gets 7 to 10 sacks, has anywhere from 16 to 24 quarterback hits, that's a plus player for you. And oh, by the way, if he is rotating in, he's going to keep everybody else fresh. And I think those fresh legs are going to allow him to become even more efficient as the Broncos use him going forward. I mean, I don't think we're looking at the next Von Miller with Nick Bonitto, but I think we're looking at a really solid rotational player who maybe you're talking about leading the Broncos in sacks this coming year, even though he's coming off the bench.
Right. And well, Malik Reed did it. And I think he's better than Malik Reed right now.
Yes, he is.
And that's
more explosive, better bend than Malik
more
Reed
moves
had.
too.
Yes.
Well, Malik Reed was kind of a one-trick pony. It worked for a while, but he did lead the team in sacks one year and then was gone after that. But like that could be Bonitto. Hopefully not gone. But stacking moves, it's something that we've talked about. I'm going to throw in some love for Thomas and Coombe because we talked to him on the final day when the locker was open. But it's like, you got to learn how to stack moves. And they've got some ballers that maybe, Baron Browning's got to stay healthy. I want to see Baron Browning stay healthy and then take that next step. It's on him now. We know he can do it. We know where he's going to play. They're not moving him back to inside. So we've got some clarity there, Mace. But it's time for guys like Cooper to be better. Nice story. I ain't here for the story. It's time for that production. Baron Browning, great story. I ain't here for that. It's time to produce.
Well, the funny thing is on Jonathan Cooper, the sacks, he had the production. He led the team with 8.5. He did finish with 13 quarterback hits. So he's behind Bonitto and Allen in terms of the efficiency of his pass rush. But you can say this for Coop. He's a finisher. That's quality as well. He's good. He's a good finisher and stout against the run. That's going to matter as well. Frankly, the stoutness against the run and the durability, again, Baron Browning, he's missed 13 games over the course of his 3 NFL seasons, including 7 this past year. Jonathan Cooper, he's only missed 4 games over the course of his 3 years in the league. That sort of tells me that going into the offseason, the question maybe is whether Baron Browning or Nick Bonitto is the first team edge. But if things are status quo at edge rusher, I think Jonathan Cooper is sharpied in as your starter at one side.
Yeah, for sure. And it's that strength against the run that benefits what he can do. It's the ability to close. And, he should have never been a 7th-round pick. But as I've often said, and I don't think he'd be a 1st-round graded player, but, 3rd round, fine. You can find those guys.
Same range as Baron Browning. Baron Browning went late in round 3. If not for the heart condition, I think Cooper was basically step for step. And that's the way to view these two players is they are, in terms of their resumes coming in, on balance, fairly equal prospects. Right now, the difference has been Cooper's been able to stay healthy. The old cliche, the best ability is availability, and Jonathan Cooper has had that in a way that Baron Browning hasn't. BB is more explosive. BB has got better bend off the edge. Jonathan Cooper's a bit stouter and is staying in the lineup. And because he stayed in the lineup, that means he's gotten more reps and he's been able to take advantage of that. So you may be looking at some very interesting decisions coming up, too, for the Broncos because Baron Browning and Jonathan Cooper are both going into their contract years. They have rookie deals. Are they effectively playing for one contract between them? Nick Bonitto, of course, has 2 more years left on his rookie deal because he was a 2022 draft pick. But decision time is coming very quickly for those 2 Buckeyes on the edge.
Yes, and it's a situation like we saw years ago with Derek Wolfe and Malik Jackson, where they could have had both. They'd played things a little different. So the business side, we'll see. But guess where my mind's at? Because you mentioned Baron Browning and Jonathan Cooper. We saw them in Mobile, Alabama.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the Quinn Miners year as well. But that's where Cooper was a standout. That's where Baron Browning was a standout. Again, we're going to be there. We're going to see some of these guys. We're going to see some future Broncos in the next week. Mace, I'm so excited.
I mean, look, and with the quarterback need, right? That's where we may be talking less about the edges at the top of the draft and more about those getting into round 3 and round 4. And hey, you can find those guys. And we know Sean Payton found one of those guys coming out of the All-Star games. That was Trey Hendrickson coming out of Florida Atlantic, who was one of the draft picks that the Saints had in that marvelous 2017 draft that they had. So Honestly, those are the dudes we're looking for. And the thing is about pass rushers, we get to see the one-on-one drills. It's something that's pretty obvious. I mean, you recall watching Hendrickson. You recall watching Alex Highsmith out of UNC Charlotte. I mean,
Oh, that spin move. That was great.
yes,
Saw him in the drop.
Yeah, it'll be there. I mean, we're gonna be sitting here in a few days, and we're gonna be raving about guys, and hopefully the Broncos are gonna be smart enough to add a few of them.
Well, we'll see if they do just that. Super quick, because I should have went from Zach Allen more into DJ Jones, but we started talking edge, so it just leads the way. We just let the show flow, Mace. That's what we do. But
and
DJ
we're gonna
Jones,
float. We're gonna turn it back inside.
Okay, because we got to get to ILB as well. But let's turn it back inside to DJ Jones, who I don't think is going to be here.
Yeah, unless he restructures, just to kind of look at the details on his deal. Carrying a $12.958 million cap figure. And this is an area where the Broncos can get some savings. By cutting DJ Jones pre-June 1, they can save $9.97 million with just under $3 million left of dead money under the cap. I can't imagine he's back unless there's a significant restructure. And yeah, that's going to be a hole that you're going to have to plug and fill. And that's all of a sudden that becomes a need as well. You'd like to see some internal options come into play. Maybe Matt Henningsen gets a few more snaps, but he's definitely more of a rotational guy, as we've seen the last couple of years. And not the same body type, but boy, I really want to see more of Elijah Garcia, because he flashed over the summer, and he played ever so briefly for the Broncos this year. I mean, most games he was a game day scratch, but Elijah Garcia did have a sack. He played 3 games, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit. Honestly, as the season went on, based on what we saw over the summer, I was surprised that we didn't see them finding more spots for Garcia, but he should have an opportunity to earn more reps. I think Jonathon Harris, who started a few games this year, he's more of a rotational guy as well. So if you move on from DJ Jones, which I think is likely at this point, you're gonna have to rely on some guys stepping up, or you're gonna have to find some pluggers out there on the market right now to supplement Zach Allen. And this could be tough. We could be looking at another year where defensive line is not a strong point of the Broncos, especially against the run, kind of like we saw this past year.
Well, there's a few players that I'll plug in with Garcia. It's like, I believe, had the Broncos not been around the playoff conversation, we could have seen more of Jale Skinner. We could have seen more of Riley Moss. We could have seen more of Elijah Garcia. And then this year, they're not rookies. With that lack of experience that they're going to carry into 2024, I would have liked to have seen more of each one of those guys as the season went on. And maybe even more of Drew Sanders as we move to the inside linebacker conversation. He doesn't know what he's doing yet. He's a coach's kid. He's very bright. He was my number 1 inside linebacker coming out last year. Thrilled that the Broncos got him. Give him time. I'm not saying bust or anything like that. Not even close. But now we get into the Josey Jewell conversation. We've got some beautiful bean footage of Josey Jewell. Mace, let's set that up before Joey clicks play here.
Yeah, Josey Jewell, he's got an expiring contract coming up. Alex Singleton, of course, re-signed last year to a 2-year deal. We know Singleton and Jewell work very well together. Their communication is on point. They're both tackling machines. That being said, some of the tackles are from behind, and they had some culpability in the wide gaps that existed in the box time and again. The Broncos ranked 29th in the league in rush defense, even if you take out the Miami game. I think that's significant to note right there, that if you remove the 70-point debacle from the equation, Broncos still with a run defense that was in the bottom 4 in the league. So things like that are why you get the sense that the Broncos are going to be inclined to move on. And again, you mentioned Drew Sanders, somebody that George Payton, general manager, a couple weeks back said was going to be a starter in this league. And I think that's going to involve him moving back to inside linebacker and getting a shot next to Alex Singleton. So let's hear from Josey Jewell, who wants to come back, wants to be part of getting this thing right in Denver, but seemed very matter of fact about what his future might entail.
Yeah, there's still a lot more work to be done here, and that's why I want to come back. I think, there's a great opportunity next year with the players we got, and I'm sure a bunch of new players we're going to get that definitely got a good chance, especially with Coach Payton. So excited if that happens, but who knows what will happen.
For the team, if you do come back, how much would continuity help, not just with you returning, but returning as many players as possible from this year's team?
Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with that, and Coach has talked about that a little bit. I love the continuity right now that we have with our team, especially with the defense. Everybody likes each other, honestly. There's no douchebags out there, so that's nice. It's hard to communicate with some of those guys when they are. So everybody loves each other in this locker room, and that's what's so great about it. And I think we can build some things, going along to next year.
Alex?
Coaches talked about that a little bit. I'm not talking about the D-bags. I'm talking
Yes.
about I think some guys were told some stuff, and guys like Josey Jewell, they know the business of football. They know he might be elsewhere this offseason.
Yeah, hearing that from Josey Jewell, that was an eye opener. I know that you and I both heard that comment 2.5 weeks ago. That the Spidey sense tingled a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Especially in light of hearing other players like Garrett, Bolles, Lloyd Cushenberry refer to, if I'm back, I'd love to be back. Something that was a common refrain as the Broncos packed up and scattered for the offseason was a very strong sense of association, love for each other as teammates, but at the same time understanding that there are going to be some moves that are made that are going to involve the Broncos moving on. We kind of forecasted this season. We talked about this year being an evaluation year for Sean Payton as he figured out who's in and who's out. Some of that is contractually based, but I think we're going to see the next couple of months this roster start to look a lot different. And yeah, that's sad because it means waving goodbye to some players that are really good people. But at the same time, when you've had 7 straight losing seasons like the Broncos have, change is inevitable, right? Even when you did improve from 5-11 or 5-12, to 8-9, changes are coming.
Yeah. And that's where I expect you to go, Garth, and say, we fear change.
Do you need me to have that hand? We fear change.
It's orange and blue today. Mace, we're on the road, man. It's Friday,
Texas. Howdy. Let's do another Garth thing. Howdy, partners. Let's raise and rope Broncos. Howdy, y'all. What we need is the chroma key and have Texas and then Hawaii, past the point Mahalo, and then be magically whisked away to Delaware. Hi, we're in Delaware.
Yeah, we get in studio again. We'll get the green screen behind us. Matthew and Joey will set us up, but that's it, man. You're gonna have Saturday OBTs. You're gonna have Sunday OBTs.
Yep.
You're gonna have player interviews. You may have a coaching interview. Got some surprises. We got some surprises coming up for you. So make sure to stay tuned as always. Help us out on our YouTube channel. My turn or your turn, Mace?
Your turn. I did it yesterday.
Okay. Then comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. He's Mace. I'm Cecil. OBT is a BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. And would you please stay frosty?